Here's hoping this is all working. So, it's been probably way too long since I've done this. Because reasons. Just reasons. Life is crazy. Everything is going on. And because half the time I don't even know what I should talk about. Which is a funny place to be for somebody who's written about pagan families and pagan parenting and pagan kids for since before I had kids. So yeah, there's that. I really don't.
Comprehensible. He won again? Hey,
I don't want that. That was noisy. I think. Alright. So, where were we? So tonight I want to talk about stuff going on in the world and pagan parents and pagan parenting and all those sorts of things. For many of us in the U.S., it has been sort of a wild ride this last couple of weeks. Between Supreme Court stuff and hearings about insurrectionist behaviors and attacks on the Capitol and I just don't even know sort of where to start anymore because it's just so much. Just so much. I don't even know. I don't it's such a ridiculous situation to be in. But let's talk about the really specific religion issue that's come out of the court this week. So, the court basically overturned decades of separation of church and state existence. So, they haven't said that teachers can just pray in classrooms off the wall, just whenever or whatever they want to do. But they have said that you can claim it's a private prayer that just happens to be on public time while you're getting paid to do your public job, and that you can invite other people to participate. So, while I think it's unlikely that most pagan, Wiccan, heathen, any of us, most of us folks are not going to go out and, start having prayers in the middle of a schoolroom or whatever. But it's worth understanding what they're allowing now. And I say now because it's sort of a funny thing, right? We know that if this was a pagan coach or a Jewish coach or a Muslim coach or basically anything other than Christian, that we wouldn't be having this discussion, right? They would not have said that that prayer was okay if it was anybody other than an evangelical Christian. And so that leaves some interesting situations. What does happen when one of us does it? We can get fired and take it to court, sure. I don't know what court would say, though, right? All of the previous tests didn't apply in this case, apparently randomly, which is part of the whole point of prior decisions. There is no we kind of have nothing to go on. We don't know what they are going to want or what they're going to do. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, because it's just bizarre. There's no case history that allows this. There's just nothing. Do I think most schools are still going to police religious behavior? Absolutely. Most schools are still going to put people on administrative leave or fire them if they do this, is my suspicion. But also, they don't really have time for this crap. They're not well funded. Everybody's short on teachers. I can't imagine them firing somebody over it because they don't have anybody to replace them with. Our school can't even get substitutes half the time. So, it's just complicated. Really complicated. Usually when I talk about religion in schools, I'm talking about things that apply to your children. We're talking about things like the release programs that let them leave school to go to Bible class in the parking lot. Or flyers that come home for religious organizations or whatever. So first of all, as a taxpayer, in the U.S. anyway, you have every right to call your school or look on their website and ask them what their policies are. What are their policies about religious expression in the classroom or on school property or during school events? What are their policies about who can send home flyers? Now, the flyer thing has gotten weird too. Our school district, we've been homeschooling for a couple of years now, so I can't really say our school, but our school district no longer sends home paper flyers for the most part. They have an online system. The online system allows school buildings to send electronic flyers by email, either to families in their building or to the whole district. It also allows outside organizations to pay for the privilege of advertising to district parents. So, those are, like, I haven't looked at the rates lately. But, like, if we wanted to do something public, we could pay to send a flyer to the district to all the parents. They have some limits on what they'll send. They've said no hate groups. They've not said no religious groups. That did not stop them from sending home an invitation several years ago for my son to go to a Christmas party at a local church. And the story on this one always just baffles me a little bit. So there is a paraprofessional in our district who works with her church. It's a big mega church, as part of their special needs ministry team. And every year they invite all of the children who are in categorical or self-contained classrooms. And by that I mean a separate classroom from your regular students for a specific special ed diagnosis. So, like, there's an autism room with the kids who have autism, and there's a cognitive impairment room. There's actually two types of cognitive impairment rooms. And there's, like, an emotional disturbance type room, and there's, like, a bunch of these sorts of contained classrooms where those kids could be all day in many cases, so that their needs are met, rather than trying to meet their needs in the classroom. Now, we can have a whole discussion about that situation and whether that should be that way or how it should be, but that is how it is. So her church sends home these invitations to every kid in a categorical group, which is to say every kid who is, like, the most disabled, the most impacted, the least typical. And it's an invitation to their Christmas party, their special needs Christmas party. They ask you for a list of gifts they can give your child. they encourage parents to stay for a dinner at their event in one room where they give you an uplifting message. You can guess that it's probably a Christian message. That's my understanding from people who've been before. And in the other room, they have volunteers who will take care of your kid, who they've never met, give them gifts, and feed them dinner, along with whatever else they decide to do in that room, because you're not there to see it. The whole situation made me very uncomfortable. Made me really uncomfortable the first time, but even more so the second time when I realized that it was only those most impacted kids and only this church. It was literally a church event. On their calendar, they, get their own volunteers and everything. There's no other outside agencies involved. And I feel like them buying gifts for kids and having, an hour and a half to go tell those kids whatever you want to tell them is sort of sketchy, sort of questionable. Anyway, as a taxpayer, you can ask them what is their policy on renting space in the school building. What is their policy on prayers at football games and graduation ceremonies and baccalaureates and other awards events? Do they have Fellowship of Christian Athletes? What other organizations like that do they have, and what are their rules for them? Those things are all things you're allowed to ask as a taxpayer in a school district. So whether your kids are in school or homeschooled or grown up and moved away, your tax dollars are paying for whatever that is. And it is totally within your rights to know what those rules are. I'm not saying we should exploit those rules, but when I was in charge of Spiral Scouts, we talked a lot about how, theoretically, you could start a Spiral Scouts chapter at a local school. You could arrange to have space in the school after school, which is apparently a little more complicated these days than when I was in school, but still possible in most places. You could arrange to have them send home flyers in every kid's backpack or in their electronic system advertising your new organization. All of those things have long been legal. The only way they're not legal for us is if they're not legal for anyone. And that's a key thing, right? They can't do something that makes it look like they are preferentially supporting one group over the other. So, yeah, I really don't know where that one's going to go. I'm also interested to see how the cases about state law and Indian reservations go, because we are Native American and those sorts of things impact us a little more directly. Roe v. Wade obviously is a huge, huge issue for many, many people in our country. I'm sure not everybody watching this is going to agree with me, but I really feel like bodily autonomy is key. And I tell people this about my children, who are both autistic, that they get to decide. Like, everyone needs to respect the fact that they get to decide. They get to have opinions about what happens to them and how we treat them. And people need to accept that and live with it. Because bodily autonomy applies to all of us. So if this one thing about bodily autonomy becomes an issue because of somebody else's religion, then a lot of other things become problematic too. And it's just, we're just going to have to wait and see a little bit how it plays out. But meanwhile, we're going to have to be out there talking to our representatives and our legislators and voting and being as supportive as we can. So, let's see. That was about 15 minutes of me just ranting. All right. So here's my little commercial bit. Spiral Moon Family Circle is a family-oriented, eclectic pagan church located in Oakland County in Michigan. That's just outside of Detroit. We do a lot of things virtually because we want it to be accessible to everybody. We have online classes for adults. We have business support. We have plans for online classes for kids. We haven't had anybody take us up on them yet. We have had Sabbath events for kids basically since Ostara this year with limited success. We have plans for a homeschooling curriculum, and we have currently a framework curriculum and a cover school option for next year. Our virtual school option is going to get pushed out a little bit because we're just not ready. We have forums on our website. So if you're worried about your posts getting deleted on other social media sites because they're about religion, or you're worried about your family seeing your posts about religion, we don't have that problem on our website. We have a cell phone app for our website. It's on Android right now. I'm working on the details to get through the iOS checking process, which is crazy, crazy expensive. Well, not really expensive, just time consuming and hard. We run a pagan parenting website, paganparenting.info. That also has an app, also on Android only at the moment, but iOS coming eventually. We have a library with over 400 books. Checkouts right now are basically porch pickup only, but when we get an office or some other space, we will make that more open with hours that people can jump in and look at books and browse at their leisure. We have, what else do we have? I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, we started working on a TV channel. It'll be on Fire TV. The app itself is ready to go as soon as I figure out how to plug all the media into it. We are always looking for volunteers. We will be looking for people to create content for the TV shows. We are always looking for writers for paganparenting.info. We are looking for advertisers there as well. We will be looking for sponsors for our upcoming Sabbath events. We are looking for a ritual team to put on regular Sabbaths and full moons, and maybe even new moons, if we have enough people willing to help. We are not yet a 501c3. Churches don't actually have to be, but we do probably need to be incorporated, which hasn't happened yet because I just have to get the paperwork finished and find 2 other people to go sign it with me. We have, let me go look at the website and see what I'm forgetting, because I'm sure there's something. We have membership levels. There's various levels, and they all get you different things. We are looking for teachers for our online adult and kid classes. We have a youth group. We have a huge list of supports for folks here in Michigan. We have a way for you to submit healing requests and prayer requests, and in our online educational programs, while our children's programming is looking for homeschooling, and then for eventually a virtual school, and maybe even a public school, and then like a group of schools, an in-person school, not public schools. But we can form a whole network of schools. We actually have a plan for that. For adults, we're going to have a College of Energy Healing, which will have a whole group of programs that you can either take one at a time, or you can take a whole big program to be a certified energy healer. We also have a seminary program outlined, and sort of a 101 basics class setup outlined. So, come hit us up, come look at it, check it out. spiralmoon.org. We have tons and tons of stuff going on, and we'd love to have you join us. Alright, I need like a 30-second break. Let's take a break. I'll be back.